As a toddler, my daughter, Emily, absolutely loved lions. Her bedroom and playroom were decorated with images of friendly lions. She had a favorite stuffed lion. She had a lion shirt, which she wore all the time, and told everyone she knew, as well as the neighbors and random strangers, about her love for them. Once a lion roared at her from behind a glass at the zoo, and she just giggled hysterically. I had tried to limit the amount of television Emily watched, but since we didn't get many channels and don't have cable, it wasn't a big problem anyway. There was a small television set upstairs in her playroom, centered in front of the wall that directly across from the window. One time Emily found a show called Jack the Lion, which she used to use the remote control to surf. The show featured a lion hand puppet named Jack and an extremely cheap looking Savannah poster made from construction paper as the main backdrop. Sometimes it would just be a jungle backdrop instead. There wasn't so much to the show. It was just Jack the lion sharing his facts about lions and other savanna animals and occasionally having adventures with the other hand puppet characters. There were clearly only one person doing the voices, and I immediately knew this must be someone's public access project. I remember the first time I watched it with her, and just saw how terrible it was. The audio was bad, and there were a lot of ambient noises, and I walked into the playroom midway through the episode, and already the person voicing the lion puppet was fumbling around his lines, like he just dropped the script, and there was just a few-second pause before he nervously picked it back up. After a few moments, the episode just ended without any credits. Nevertheless, Emily enjoyed it, of course, and it became her real favorite show. It came on at seemingly random times, but she wasn't usually able to catch the episode whenever the TV was on in her playroom. There was no other shows on the channel, but of course she used the remote control to look for it when she got bored of watching the other shows. Sometimes I would just watch it with her. It was interesting to watch what she was clearly someone's budget and passion project for children. The theme song consisted of merely a few repeating piano notes and any musical cues. There were also short piano or xylophone riffs. There were never any credits, and of course the show was not listed in the TV guide. And since this was before the World Wide Web, I could not simply Google the show for information. However, I did notice that the show had improved considerably since the first time Emily saw it. The audio was a little better, with not the many background noises, and the actor seemed to be doing better with his lines. Each episode also had at least one arc or structure to speak, unlike the first one, which was just nonsense. Realizing that whoever was making the show might have to get rid of it, got tired of it, or lose his public access license at any time, I started recording it on VHS so Emily could enjoy it, in case if it ever stopped airing, or in case she simply wanted to watch it for nostalgic years later. I soon realized that there was only about 10 repeating episodes, but that never seemed to bother her. One time I was painting in the closet in her playroom, and in retrospect, I probably should have kept her out of the playroom, in case if she got sick of the fumes. I just stopped and took an admire of how beautiful she looked as the sunlight was streaming down from the playroom window. When an episode I hadn't seen before started playing, when Emily was in the playroom and not watching TV, I would sometimes keep that TV on the channel in case Jack the Lion comes on. Since I was busy with the closet, I told Emily to press the record button on the VCR so it would record this new episode. The episode skipped over to the piano opening theme, and there was no music throughout. The audio quality seemed even poorer than usual, and the man with the lion puppet seemed to stumble over his lines sometimes. Now and then he would realize that the puppet was facing the wrong way and make a quick correction. As Emily was watching the show and I was working on the closet, a car backfired in front of my house. Emily covered her ears and cried, "Daddy, what's that?" I was about to come over to comfort her, but then something popped into my mind. I told her to go make her bed. She seemed upset though about the scary noise to agree without protesting, without being taken away from her favorite show. I ejected the tape from the VCR and went down to watch it downstairs. I fast forward this new episode, and sure enough, the car could be heard backfire on the audio. The passion voice in the lion puppet even paused during this line before backing up awkwardly. I called the police and showed them the tape, and the show came back on eventually. The police were able to use a special scanner to determine what broadcast this was coming from my next door neighbor's house. In a room, of course, they found the savannah and jungle backdrops on the wall and a set of video cassettes with all the episodes along with the pages of handwritten script. The man admitted that he was planning to abduct Emily. The last episode I recorded was a live broadcast, in which he had planned to lure her out of the house by addressing her directly through the lion puppet. He had a jury-rigged ham radio, television, and special frequency adapter to make the broadcasts, and that had used an extremely low amplitude that would only be picked up by television sets within a few meters from the room. On a channel he knew that it was not being used by any local stations. This all made me want to throw up, but the most chilling part for me was the mounted spyglass they had found in my room. It faced directly away from Emily's playroom, where he could be able to make sure she was watching the show. In instances, the last broadcast when the puppet was facing the wrong way were probably the results of him looking at the spyglass just to make sure she was watching. And since I was working on the closet out of view, it must have thought she was alone. I then realized the first episode we saw, she probably also had a live broadcast, and I had probably walked in right when he was about to break the fourth wall and try to coax Emily out of the house for the first time. I pushed the prosecutor to get him in a maximum penalty possible, which is still entirely too lenient, and then I even talked to the FCC and got him to fine for making this illegal broadcast for good measure. I managed to find the other good kid shows about a lion, this time a cartoon lion, at the library to make Emily forget about Jack the Lion. She liked the cartoon, but she still asked if she could watch Jack the Lion now and then. Eventually I got together with my sister and we set up a crude set in her basement, started recording our own episodes for Emily. When she was a teenager, I eventually had to tell her what really happened because she wanted to watch the tapes, which I had never had the heart to throw away, and I knew she would recognize the voices of my sister and me in some of the episodes. She was disturbed, but I said to the fact that my sister and I would do something like that to make her feel better about the whole thing, and even she might record her own episodes someday for her own kids. I was so glad I took the news so calmly that she took, but there was one thing she said, nonchalantly though, although I still found heartbreaking. So that's why my new playroom didn't have a window? Well, that was My Daughter Loved Lions, a creepypasta written by Hopeless Night Owl. And yep, Hopeless Night Owl is the same author that wrote the story called Lost Episodes Can Be Found Again, which was a pretty awesome story. Now, my final thoughts on the story. This was actually quite a great creepypasta, especially with the fact that this person was obsessed with lions. This little kid in the story started watching this show called, well, Jack the Lion. But eventually, later on, the next door neighbor was planning to pretty much kidnap Emily by making this show as a way to lure her. I mean, that's really messed up, but I honestly could see that believable since a lot of messed up people in the world like to do stuff like this just to lure, kids just so they can get what they wanted. It's pretty messed up. But I definitely have to say it's a good story. I personally enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good story. I thought it was a good concept as well. So, with that being said, and that being the case, I personally really enjoyed this story. It was a pretty good story. It was definitely well made and written. There's definitely a lot of great grammar and sentence structuring and stuff. I personally like that. I ended up looking over and I'm like, holy hell, it's pretty good. So, Hopeless Night Owl, awesome job with this story. If you're watching this video, that is, awesome job of your story. You should be proud of yourself for writing this story. This story was definitely a lot of fun to read. I really read through it without any problem. It was awesome. So, I definitely got to say you did a pretty awesome job there. So, anyways, with that being said, and that being the case, like I'm just gonna say right now, I will leave a link in the description for the people who want to go check out the story. You are feel free to go check out this story if you want to. This is an awesome story. You will definitely enjoy this. So, I guess with that being said, and that being the case, what did you guys personally think of this story? Now, before I get on with the, pretty much me, quitting out the video, I am going to sit here and say right now, like I'm going to say, this is just simply my own personal opinion. And if you disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas, and this is just simply my own personal thoughts. I personally liked it. I thought it was a good story. It's definitely well made in detail, and I really enjoy this. So, anyways, like I said, I'll put this in the description down below so you guys can go watch it if you want to. And as always, yeah, I give this a 10 out of 10. It's a good story, messed up, but it's still a pretty good story. So, I definitely really enjoy this. So, anyways, with that being said and that being the case, what did you guys personally think of this story? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. There, there. What did you think? Leave me now with your thoughts down in the comments below. I am, well, the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're new to my channel, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications to when I see an upload so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.